Okay, I'm going to pick up where we left off on example 7, and it is harder than the problem that you have to do for your homework, but I do like organizing my data in this chart when I'm dealing with distance problems, just to kind of see what I have. So we looked at if you were riding your bike to campus, it was a 5-mile trip there. And so then when you return, it's also going to be a 5-mile trip. So, kind of the easy information there is the distance is 5 miles there and it's 5 miles back. Then it also told us that the total time was 6 hours. It said 1 hour and 10 minutes, and then it went ahead and converted it for us. But what you need to know is your rate a lot of times is in miles per hour, so your time needs to be consistent with your rate. So that's why they went ahead and told you 6 hours. But that's your total time, and we don't know the time of either. So I went ahead and let the return trip be t, which means going there would be 7/6 minus t. Then we also had to identify the rate or the velocity. And so it told us that going there to campus, we were faster. Actually, I think 9 miles an hour faster. So I didn't know the rate. I let R be the return rate, which makes the there rate R plus 9. Well, then I like to write my equations and see kind of where I'm at. So this first equation, I can do the quantity of R plus 9 times the quantity 7/6 minus t equals 5. That's for going there. And then on the return, I have an easier equation. I have RT equals 5. So I went ahead and FOILed the there equation just to see what I'm going to get. So I have 7/6 R minus RT plus, if I do 9 times 7/6, that's going to be 21 halves minus 9t equals 5. Well, I noticed right away that every time I see an RT, I can plug in 5. So I did that. I have 7/6 R minus 5 plus 21 halves minus 9t equals 5. I did a little bit of simplifying. I noticed that I can combine those to 5.5, and then I went ahead and subtracted 5.5 from both sides. So that gives me 7/6 R minus 9t equals negative 1/2. Well, now you could get rid of equations. Get rid of fractions if you want to. You could multiply everything by 6. Since we've been dealing with that, I went ahead and did that to see what my equation is going to look like. So it looks like I've got 7R minus 54t equals negative 3. Well, I still have two equations that have two variables, so I'm going to have to do a little bit more. I went to that second equation, RT equals 5, and decided I wanted to get the t by itself. You could have done R, but I went ahead and just divided both sides by R. And so every time I see a t, I can actually plug in 5 divided by R. So that's what I did. So I have 7R minus 54 times the quantity 5 divided by R equals negative 3. And so you have a few options here. I'm going to probably eventually go ahead and multiply by R, but let's go ahead and distribute. So I have 7R minus, I need to multiply 54 times 5. So that's going to give me 270 over r equals -3. Well, that's when I noticed, okay, I need to get rid of that r. That's causing me some issues. So I'm just going to multiply both sides by r. That gives me 7r to the second minus 270 equals -3r. So then I noticed I've got a quadratic. And so I added 3r to both sides. So at this point, you may want to see if you can factor. Just because we haven't practiced this a ton, I'm going to go ahead and use the quadratic formula because I can use the quadratic formula on any quadratic. So my A is going to be 7, my B is 3, and my C is -270. And so now I'm just going to plug in my numbers. So I've got r is equal to -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 14. And so then I just started simplifying, and I thought, I bet that square root is going to simplify. If not, we've got 4 times 7 times 270, and then when I add that to 9 and then take the square root, I get exactly 87. So I'm going to go ahead and just simplify that. So I'm actually going to get two solutions. R is -3 plus 87, which would be 84 divided by 14. And that is actually an exact value. R equals 6. Well, then I notice the other rate is actually going to be a negative. You can't have a negative rate, so that's unreasonable. So I now know that the return rate is 6. And just to double check, it was miles per hour. And that's what I was supposed to be answering. Now, I could have asked you the time, and now you could just plug in, usually to the easiest equation, r times t equals 5, to calculate the time for each.